Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 7. So this episode of Attack on Titan, this episode, basically what happens is, basically, Historia's father tells Historia that the Rice family basically became a Titan, ate the previous member of the Rice family who had the Titan ability, and they can control the Titans, and basically they can end the threat of the Titan threat to humankind. But it's kind of, but only a person of the Rice family who has Aaron's powers can do that. And for some reason, they haven't done it for over 100 years. So that's kind of interesting. And I'm sure we'll get back to that eventually. Aaron gets free, and he has the option to turn to a Titan, but he's just like, it's my fault. If I didn't get this Titan power, my dad didn't do all of this, then humanity might have been saved. We might not have to worry about anything. And it just, it's kind of a sad part of the episode. But then the thing I like about this episode is Historia becomes a character who finally figures out who she wants to be. And that's one thing I actually really enjoyed about this episode. And at the end of the episode, Historia's father becomes a Titan. So we're going to see the Titan versus Aaron in the next episode, I'm assuming. And also that the fight scenes between the scouts and the police with the guns was really, really cool. And it was cool how they were using strategy. That one girl's hurt or dead. I guess we'll find out next week. So, guys, good episode of Attack on Titan. My Hero Academy Season 3, Episode 24. Alright, so this episode of My Hero Academy is basically dealing with, it's a new school year for the UA students, and they're all just sitting there, and they're learning about stuff that's going to go on for next season. And it just basically and we're also introduced to the Big Three, kind of, where it's, I guess, most powerful students at UA. Also, the episode begins with the first half of the episode. It's dealing with a villain who we saw in the first half of the season. And we're seeing him again, and we're seeing just kind of his origin story and how the League of Villains has kind of expanded. And now that All Might's gone, there's more opportunities for villains. So that was interesting. But that's basically all I had to say to the episode. Deku is still on house arrest. Next episode, they have to fight the Big Three, or one of the guys who's very plain, who I guess becomes the wall or something. I don't really know what his quirk is. I'll be interested to see more of it next week. Woo! Doctor Who! Season 11, Series 11, Episode 1. So, Doctor Who is a show which I absolutely love. It's a show I didn't really get into until after the end of the Matt Smith era. I watched all three of those series, like all three of those Doctors back to back. And I basically watched the entire Peter Capaldi era, week to week, season for season. And I very much enjoyed it. So, I was very interested at the end of the season finale, or the Christmas special last year, to see how Jodie Whittaker would be as Doctor. And to be honest with you, this does not really feel like a Doctor Who episode, and there's nothing wrong with that. I thought this episode was very ballsy. I thought the new showrunner, Chris Chibnall, who did Broadchurch, didn't use the iconic Doctor Who logo icon, the theme music, the theme song. I thought that was very ballsy for the showrunner not to do that in the pilot of his new Doctor Who. So I was very interested in that. But you don't want to see the Doctor until about 15 minutes into the episode. You're basically introducing the new companions, and then when you see the Doctor, she's falling off a bay. And I thought Jodie Whittaker nailed it. I mean, it's too early to tell if she's going to be a good Doctor, because you never know. I mean, she could crash and burn, but to be honest with you, it didn't really focus on her being a female, the female version of the Doctor. There was no forced feminism in this episode. It really, it was just, the character was the same character we saw before, and I kind of like that. That's how I like about the show, is that the person changes, but the character remains the same. And that's one thing I liked about it, was, whenever they say, Madam, she's like, Madam, does it fit me? And I really enjoyed that. So overall, this episode of Doctor Who, I was very interested. It was more emotional than I thought it was going to be. I'll be curious to see what else happens. We see the Doctor's new outfits, because she was in Peter Capaldi's outfit the entire time, and I'll be curious to watch more Doctor Who as the weeks go on. So yeah, more Doctor Who talk every week on the Dark Easy TV recap show. Better Call Saul Season 4 Episode 10. So Better Call Saul this episode, we're getting a bunch of stuff going on in this episode. First off, we're talking with Saul, or Jimmy. Jimmy he's trying to create some sympathy so he can become a lawyer again, because they told him that that Jimmy wasn't sincere whenever he was giving his testimonial plea to become a lawyer again. In this episode, it's basically Jimmy, he's basically trying to get some likes from the people, and he's trying to create sympathy that oh man, I miss my brother Chuck, but really he doesn't really give a shit. And it was some very sad moments, but then you're just like, oh, that son of a bitch, he just doesn't really care. And then at the end, whenever he says, I'm also gonna need to change my name. I'm not gonna be using my lawyer name as Jimmy McGill. I have another name. It's all good, man. You're like, okay, everything's starting to fit together. So I'm expecting maybe this is next season will be the last season. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Also stuff with Mike. Mike finds the German. Gus orders him to kill him. And that's basically the episode of Better Call Saul. So good finale, not as good as last season, but I am ready to see how the show ends. Alright, so my second half of the Man of the High Castle. Last week I watched the first 5 episodes of season 3. Now I'm finishing it up. So the last half of the Man of the High Castle season 3 was very, very interesting. I was just sitting there. I enjoy the hell out of this show. For me, this is one of the easiest binges I had. Because that first night, I watched 6 episodes, and I forgot how much I liked the show. I'm actually thinking about going back and watching the entire 3 seasons back to back to back, because I hadn't seen the first 2 seasons since they were on TV, and I kind of want to watch all 3 seasons back to back to back, because I really enjoyed the show. I'm curious what's going to happen with these characters. Like, we find out that Blake, he is actually dead, and it's kind of sad seeing him die. Frank gets killed by the Kim Pukai, and I was just like, holy shit, they're killing all the main characters. What's going to happen next season? The Fuhrer, the current Fuhrer is dead, or is shot, might be dead, so maybe John Smith becomes the new Fuhrer. Maybe he changes to the Nazi way. His wife leaves him. So there's some things going on that I am so interested in the next season. Also, Julianne Crane, she disappears and she goes into another world, but she gets shot, so maybe she dies on the way to that world. Maybe she can come back to this world alive and healthy. Wyatt, our new British or Irish character, he shows up and he's continuing a fight that Jillian started. So, very interesting show of the Man of High Castle. Also, those freaking Nazis. I mean, come on. Destroying national historical landmarks? Come on. Freaking Nazis. So, overall, this was such a great season. Yeah, Man of High Castle Season 3 was awesome. The Flash, Season 5, Episode 1. Alright, so this episode of Flash is the season premiere of the Flash show I watch. To be honest with you, Flash is a show which the first 2 seasons, I think, are incredible TV. Season 3 and Season 4 are not great. Season 3 was not really good at all. Season 4, I had moments in there. I like that they added some new characters in there. And I like that they're bringing in, like, Ralph. I'm glad Ralph's coming back for Season 5. And he's one of my favorite characters for that show, from that season. So I'm glad to see a different character in there that doesn't have super speed. I'm glad every superhero doesn't have to have super speed. So this episode of Flash is basically, we're getting to know Nora West Allen, and basically Nora had traveled back in time. We saw her pieces across all the 4th season. So one thing I liked about that was that at least, you know, they're setting stuff up for the next season, because I was like, that's probably going to be Barry's daughter. It might be, it might not be. I mean, who knows? I mean, you can never tell with these kind of shows. But my only problem with the female speedster is I don't understand why her speed, or lighting, is purple. It makes no sense. I complained about it a lot whenever I saw it the first time when Iris had super speed. So I wasn't crazy about that. I did like the nods of the spoiler alerts that Nora was given. She said, "Oh, we Gorilla Grodd and King Shark fight," and Sis goes, "Whoa, spoiler alert!" And I mean, it's just enjoyable parts of the episode. I'm curious what this season. This kind of feels like it's going to be a it's a father-daughter kind of season. This part of the show where Barry is basically teaching her how to use her speed, and she wants to help save his father because Barry finds out that he doesn't return from that news article, and it's been 25 years and he missed his entire daughter's life. So and Nora wants to make sure she has a dad her entire life, and it'll be interesting to watch. So overall, this was a good season premiere. I mean, it got me interested in Flash again, so I'll be curious to watch more of it next week. Blacklight in Season 2, Episode 1. Alright, so this episode of Blacklight, we're seeing after effects of the Season 1 finale. Basically, the family's kind of in a mess. You have Jefferson's wife, ex-wife, whatever she is trying to get with the pods and with all the kids who were affected with green light back in the day, and she's trying to handle that while Jefferson's trying to deal with effects that's going on around his family, being Black Lightning, trying to remain principal of that school. And it's that's what's basically going on. You also have Lighten. She's basically stealing a bunch of money to give to the church so they can sue the federal government. And then also you have this stuff going on with Jefferson's daughter, who can't control her power. So probably this season we're going to see him train his daughter up and to become his sidekick or something, and I guess we'll find out more. Also, we had the vice principal, who we found out was a Mo last season, and she's basically going after Tobias. And it was a very interesting episode. I mean it's a season premiere, so it's kind of hard to take anything serious because we don't know really where the season's going to go. But overall, I enjoyed this episode of Blacklight, and I'm looking forward to watching more next week. Survivor, David versus Goliath, episode 3. So this episode of Survivor, we see more stuff going on in camps. Basically, let's get right to it. The Goliaths, they beat the Davids in a challenge, and the Davids, and an Asian girl might be hurt, so she's probably not going to make it long, and she's really trying to get everyone out to get Gabby. So we'll see how that turns out. The Goliaths lose the challenge, as I said, and they're all like, well, who should we vote out? And the Goliaths are all like, we Goliaths, we are all about power. And so they decide to take out Jeremy. I like Jeremy. I wish he hadn't gone. Instead, we get the annoying black girl stays. I mean, just, oh well. I mean, next week's a merge, or not merge, but tribe swap up. What did I say? Tribe swap up already. So I'll be interested to see what happens. I'll be curious if it's 2 or 3 tribes. Could be 2, could be 3. We'll find out next week. Riverdale, Season 3, Episode 1. So this episode of Riverdale is the season premiere of a show. I watched the first 2 seasons this year, and I've been enjoying what I've watched so far. Now, this third season is going to be interesting because, you know, with CW shows, the third season is kind of the hard season, except for Legends of Tomorrow. So hopefully Legends of Tomorrow Season 3 actually broke the curse for me and CW TV shows. If she's the third season, it just drops off. So the episode is basically, we're dealing with the trial of Archie, and we're trying to figure out, is Archie going to go to jail? What's Heron's plot? And Heron's just a great, I think he's just a great little villain, because he just like, at the end of the episode, Veronica's like, how could you do this, Daddy? And he said, you betrayed me. This is your punishment. And you're just like, holy shit, this guy is so innocent. And then other days going on, we see stuff going on with the serpents, and so, and also stuff dealing with Betty. She's kind of been having she started taking medicine, and her family wants her to join a cult or something. It's getting kind of weird there. Overall, it's a very good premiere. I'm looking forward to watching more this season. The Big Bang Theory, Season 12, Episode 4, I believe. This episode of Big Bang Theory, we see in both Bernadette and Penny, they're starting a friendship with Raj's fiance, I guess, and that was something, I guess. The funniest part about the episode was which was a young Sheldon connection, where we meet Tam, an older version of Tam. Tam was Sheldon's childhood best friend, and they're just good friends, but basically they hadn't talked about 20 years. And Sheldon was really hurt by Tam. And I thought this was an episode where we got to see some growth of Sheldon's character, where it was just the funniest part about this entire episode was when Amy says, "Just think of how much different your life would be if Tam wasn't in it. If Tam had come with you." And Sheldon thinks he just flashed back to all these memories, and Tam's there to send a letter. I thought that was funny as hell. So for that alone, I enjoyed the episode. If I can laugh at least once, I guess the episode is serviceable in this Big Bang Theory, which I'm ready for it to wrap up this year. So yeah, that was Big Bang Theory this week. Young Sheldon, Season 2, Episode 4. So this episode of Young Sheldon, we're seeing Sheldon as he's doing taxes for his parents. And basically, George tells Sheldon to keep a secret. Sheldon is having troubles keeping the secret. And so he decides he has to stay away from Mary as much as possible so it doesn't, so he doesn't get caught in a lie. He even goes off and does his first sleepover for Tabs. And the funniest part of the episode was he was talking about all the things he liked and didn't like and didn't like. I thought that was a very funny part of the episode. The funniest part, one of the best parts of the episode is whenever George admits he lied to Mary. Mary starts counting everyone down, and Georgie's sitting there going like, "I know nothing about Noah Ranch," and that's just a funny part of the episode. Guys, that ends another episode of TV Recap. So guys, is there a show you like me talking about? Comment below, let me know what you think of the Better Call Saul finale, what you think of the Man in the High Castle, what it is, comment below, let me know. And guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to see more, and tell your friends about Easy Nation.